Have you seen all the fun that girl campers are having across the country and wondered if you could be a girl camper too? Today, Janine Pettit, founder of Girl Camper, and Lesa McDermott, Vice President of Operations and Boondocker Extraordinaire, are bringing back the Girl Camper podcast and defining what it means to camp like a girl. Stay tuned.
I'm Lesa McDermott, Vice President of Operations. I'm a lifelong adventure chick, and I am also the Girl Camper Podcast 2.0 co-host.
And I'm so happy to have a co-host so I can run around the country and do things and not worry that it's my turn to do an episode. So we're going to be sharing duties at the desk here. But for those of you who are longtime listeners to the podcast, welcome. I'm Janine Pettit, Girl Camping Ambassador, Editor-in-Chief of Girl Camper Magazine, adventurist, and podcaster. And this is episode 218 of the Girl Camper Podcast.
So excited we're bringing this back. It has been a long time coming.
Yeah.
We get messages, emails all the time. When are you bringing the podcast back?
Yeah.
I've been bugging you for 2 years. When are we bringing the podcast back? And
and you know what? So let's go backwards a little bit and talk about why we stopped doing the podcast.
Yeah, where have we been? Where have you been?
4 years. 4 years. I think some people know where I've been, but if you were really a member of Girl Camper because you were a podcast listener, you may not realize that, we, in the last 4 years, we published an award-winning magazine.
We did.
We just took the Thomas Lowell Award. We were the bronze medal across the country for magazines in the travel industry, not just in camping or outdoors. Bronze medal. The silver medal went to Travel and Leisure, and the gold went to Afar, which we felt pretty proud of because here we are, like, publishing our little Girl Camper magazine from my spare bedroom.
Yeah.
And we won this award up against these big publishing powerhouses. There you go. There you go. So
cute.
We stopped doing the podcast, and initially, because I'm just unrealistic this way, initially I thought, I'm going to take a 6-month pause from the podcast. I know nothing about publishing. I'll just start a magazine and it'll take me 6 months. So anyway, we're heading into our 5th year with the magazine. It's so hard to believe. We're just finishing up with our executive editor, Kim Foley-McKinnon, who we're so blessed to have. We're finishing up our 16th issue.
Yeah.
Because we publish quarterly.
Yep.
So that was taking a lot of our time. But let me let you tell everybody else. While I was busy publishing a magazine, you were really very instrumental in kicking off our Girl Camper Guides.
Well,
And you were one.
I was one. Yeah, I started out with Girl Camper as one of the guides. And I was a longtime listener to the podcast. And one of your episodes, you talked about, we're going to bring on guides. And we're going to help spread the world about Girl Camper and getting out there and how to be a girl camper. And then they're going to host events. And I thought, wow, this is something I definitely want to be a part of. So I applied.
You do. You reached out to me and I'm like, oh my gosh, she's such a powerhouse girl camper.
So, she signed me up as a guide. And
I've been sucking you further into the company ever since.
I know. It's just, but it's been great. So
grooming my replacement, everybody.
So I think, we really, while you guys were busy with the magazine, which was great, Girl Camper as a whole started adding more and more guides. We're up to 30 guides, I believe, in 27 different states across the country. Right. We have plans to have guides in every state. We also want to have co-hostesses that are kind of supporting the guides. We want to have events. I mean, we women, we want to get out there. We want to do things. We want to have fun.
Yeah.
We want to meet new friends.
So let's just backtrack for a minute about, I never wanted Girl Camper to be event-based. Our job was to inspire people to get out there. But guess what was happening? We inspired people, and they're like, they needed people to camp with.
Yeah.
And there were organizations out there, and their events were filled all the time, or there wasn't something nearby. And I'm not saying we have something nearby either, but there was still a hole that needed to be filled.
Yeah.
And I think this year we're going to do 400 events.
That's
Close
what
to
we're shooting for.
Yeah, close to 400 events. And that's growing all the time. But it's almost mean, like inspire you, like, I don't know, you're on your own from here. So I had to be really talked into it because there's a lot of moving parts.
A lot of moving parts. But my first girl camper event that I hosted, I'm going to try not to cry on this because this is so inspirational. I had this group of women that came, didn't know each other. And one of them literally said to me, I camp all the time with my husband and my family. I've never camped with women. So I'm not sure how this is going to go.
I never camped with husband and family.
Well, yeah.
What?
I think we're the anomaly.
I know. Yeah.
But she said, I've never camped with women before. So I'm kind of I'm just here to see how this is going to go. She loved it. And I have this core group of women. I'm in the Black Hills of South Dakota. And there's this group of us, 7 or 8 of us, that we camp all the time together with. And Lynn Doom is one of them. Shout out to Lynn.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was
And when
so
you find
cool.
your people, it's so comforting.
That's it.
Because, we got a group text going with the Jersey Girl Campers. And sometimes, like on a Thursday afternoon, I've even done this on Friday afternoon, go, who wants to meet me at Harvest Host? Who wants to meet me at, this campground that we love up there, Camp Taylor up in North Jersey. And I'll just go, I got to get out. Who's in? And maybe 2 or 3 people will jump in, and it's just the girls, and we're just sitting there around the fire, and it's so much fun.
It is.
And so, like, one of the things we want to talk about today is what is a girl camper? What does it mean to camp like a girl? And we have a saying at headquarters here. We say it all the time, and we mean it with every fiber in our body. There's no wrong way to camp like a girl. So we have women in Class A motorhomes. We have women towing a big fifth wheel. I tow a travel trailer. You have a little micro mini, the little guy Max, the trailer you love. Hammock hangers, cabin renters, car campers, like tent campers. No wrong way.
Right.
We don't want anyone to think that unless you're all rigged out in the cutest little tricked out vintage trailer, you're not one of us.
Absolutely not.
It's not about what you're camping in. It's about getting out there and just
doing it
and testing yourself a little.
Yeah, testing yourself,
So we're going to tell some stories here today.
We are.
But before we do that, I do want to stop and thank people. I do want to take a minute to thank Camco Manufacturing and Go RVing, because if you don't know us and you don't know how Girl Camper got started, 10 years ago, this is how long Camco has had our back. When the podcast came out first in 2015, Camco came to me and said, we'd like to sponsor your podcast. We had 700 listeners, but they were like, we just love what you're doing. We just love that you are out there supporting women. We want to help you. We want to support you, support women. Go RVing was there even before Camco going, Janine, I don't know what this is all about. We didn't even know there was such a thing as solo women travelers. And this is a segment, it's one of the fastest growing segments of the RV industry.
I think, isn't it like 30% of new RVs are purchased by solo women travelers?
Yeah, and
like
what's really interesting too, if you look at the statistics the RV industry has about full-timers out there on the road, the solo traveler on the road, I'm not talking about husbands and wives out there, because 1 million people hit the road, sell their stick and brick, and they hit the road and they go out there. But of solo travelers, 80% of them are women.
Wow.
And I like to think that Go RVing helped us put that on the map.
Yeah.
Like, we became a demographic in the industry.
Yes.
Because of help from people like Go RVing and Campground. And we can't thank them enough. They've always had our back. So go over to GoRVing.com. Take a look at their website. They have so many things. They don't sell anything at Go RVing. They're there to help you make your dream come true. So if you don't know where to get started, go over there.
Exactly.
And as far as Camco goes, largest manufacturer of, I say they're the largest manufacturer of fun.
Yeah, they make stuff. They make good stuff.
They make stuff. And if you're a boater, if you're a camper, if you're just a backyard, if you're a tailgater, they make stuff for everything. Believe me, because I have it all. I love to go down there and just go through the warehouse and go, I'm taking this home with me. Nobody look, So we love Camco so much. So anyway, want to thank them before we get started. But getting back to the idea of what it means to camp like a girl, this one story always hit me. Now, so backing it up a little, I grew up in a camping family. My family was 7 kids, homemade pop-up camper, which only my mom and dad and the 2 littlest got to sleep in. The rest of us were in a big canvas tent, and my parents also had a screen tent that our picnic table and everything went in, because my mom would not do books. My mom's kind of zhushy and glamorous. How my dad ever talked her into this, I don't know, because it looked like so much work when we were kids. My mother had to do laundry for 9 people, but do it at a campground. So I think the workload increased for her, but like all good moms, she just wanted to see her kids having fun and make her husband happy. We had so much fun on those camping trips as a kid. So when I got back into camping, when I think it was 2006 or 2007, I didn't have a fear of towing. I had driven my parents, I don't even know what it was. It was, Airstream never made a motorhome, so maybe it was like an Argosy or something. It was an aluminum motorhome that looked like an Airstream. I'll have to ask my mom what that was. Anyway, my dad and I drove that from New Jersey to Chicago. And I was only 19, 17, 18. I think I was senior in high school. Maybe I was 18, land in the middle. I can't even listen to that song by Alan Jackson, Drive. Did you ever hear that song?
No.
Where he teaches his daughter to drive the Jeep on the back 40.
Oh.
God, this makes me start bawling.
I'm going to have to listen to that now.
Oh, my dad was always like, you got this, honey. You know, just look out in front of you there. You're doing great. And like, I got behind the wheel of my camper, the first one I bought. I probably hadn't towed a camper since, I don't know, senior year in high school when my parents took us all to Florida, and my dad and I were the drivers. And I hadn't been behind the wheel towing something in 25 years. Came back to me like that. No fear at all. I picked up my camper in Asheville, North Carolina, and started driving home. I called up my dad and I said, Dad, what should I remember? What do I need to know? He says, you got this, honey. Slow and steady. Stay in the right lane. You know, give people room to pass. Speed up when someone's trying to get in. You know, like, just, you got it. And so I didn't have that fear. But I had other fears. Like, some people think this is odd. I was afraid to go long distances by myself. I could camp anywhere in a 5-hour radius. When I drove to Texas by myself, I hit Tennessee and I went, oh, I'm really far from home. You know? And I was so afraid. I stayed at a Hampton Inn. I parked my camper in the parking lot of a Hampton Inn because there was tornadoes, and I'm like, oh, I'm not dealing with this, right? So I had other kinds of fears. But anyway, so Carol and I, BFF Carol, longtime listeners know Carol. She's also our New Jersey guide. So Carol and I hosted an event up at Camp Taylor Campground up in Columbia, New Jersey, which is just a very rustic, it's a campground I love. They have a swimming hole. I mean, a swimming hole. Little fish nibble on your feet. It's so fun. The clearest, cleanest water up on a mountain. Anyway, Carol had about 30 women come in, and most of them we hadn't met before. I think we were doing the podcast and we're like, hey, we're going to go camping and join us. And Carol and I got there a day early. We got everything set up, and these 2 women come up to us. We're here, we're so excited, you know. And I said, oh my gosh, where's your campsite? No, we rented a cabin. And she said, we came here all by ourselves. And I'm like, where did you come from? I'm thinking she came from Alabama. No, she came from South Jersey. Okay. She came 2.5 hours on the highway outside of what I call the strike zone. So every day we're doing shopping and stuff, and we're like 20 miles. You're in in your home. You can be 18 miles from your house, but you know where you are, you know? Suddenly you get outside of this and nobody's with you and you don't have a map, and what if I can't find the place? What if I get all the what ifs start coming in? She was so proud of herself because she drove from South Jersey to North Jersey and had a rented cabin, and she did it with her girlfriend, and they were jumping up and down. And I thought to myself, holy crap, you know what? We all start somewhere.
We start somewhere.
Like, that would have been a no-brainer for me at that point, but I had to sit there and say to myself, wow, she's pretty excited. But then I thought to myself, gosh, I remember the first time Carol and I went somewhere, we thought we were going to get pulled over by the police. Ladies, your husband's called. If you come home right now, there'll be no trouble, you know? So, you know, we were so proud of ourselves when we got home from that trip. And this is so long ago, there was no GPS. We had 6 different sets of MapQuest directions.
Good old AAA.
We kept getting off the road. We're on the road 3 days and we're still in Maryland. And so anyway, I often think about that woman and I think, wow, like for her, that was a very big thing. And once you get one of those things under your belt and you overcome a fear, and you know what they say about fear? Fear is often false evidence appearing real. Yeah. So there's no real danger in going from South Jersey to North Jersey. But if you've never done it, you can imagine all kinds of woolly monsters, you know? Absolutely. So anyway, overcoming fear.
Well, you know, we get a lot about I've never towed, all of that. And
it's
I
number
always
one.
like to say none of us were born towing.
Yeah.
We all had to start somewhere and learn to do it. And you start small. And that's one of the things I love about our Girl Camper community. You reach out to other girl campers. Yeah. Someone's there to maybe come help you, walk you through it, or show up at an event. And there's a lot of ways to learn to tow and back and all of that kind of stuff. But yeah, overcoming the fear is so fun to see in our guides.
And when you host an event, this is interesting too, because that was at a self-contained campground. It's gated, it's safe as could be. But you host events. There's no Wi-Fi signal. You're paddling to the destination.
You're going to get dirty.
You're going to get dirty. There will not be a shower available.
Probably not.
Yeah. So tell us about your Boundary Water trip. Because this one always cracks me up.
I love my Boundary Water trip. Boundary Waters, for you guys who don't know, is
Minnesota.
The northern Minnesota, between Minnesota and Canada. And it's just thousands, probably millions of miles of lakes up there. It's beautiful.
It's gorgeous. I grew up camping there.
And this was a bucket list trip for me to do this last summer. And our Minnesota guide, Dana Botts, signed up for it. And I was so excited because she was new, and I'm kind of a Minnesota person. I love Minnesota. So
didn't you go to college in Minnesota?
I did.
Yeah.
I went to college in Minnesota. I moved back there in a heartbeat. I love Minnesota. Yeah. And so Dana signed up for it, and I was excited. And she told me right away, our trip was in August, I believe, and she signed up for it, I think, in February. And she said, between now and August, I am going to have such high anxiety going on this trip. Which was
did you say what the trip was about, though? I mean, you might hear Boundary Waters and think you're at a campground on a lake in Minnesota.
Right.
So but that's not it.
No. So this was 5 days canoeing.
So that's normal for her. She just thinks,
you show them.
There's no campground. Campground? What are you talking about?
No. Stinking campground. So we were 5 days canoeing through the Boundary Water lakes. And
from destination to destination.
Right. In theory, we didn't end up doing that, but you find these remote campgrounds, very primitive. There's basically a hole in the ground is your privy. There's no showers unless you bring a bag to make a solar shower. You get your water out of the lake and you purify it.
And by campground, we mean someone once camped there before you, and there's the remnants of a fire pit.
Yeah, there's a fire pit. Yeah. Because these are all national campgrounds that are on there. That was where we were staying. But Dana, tells me months in advance that her anxiety is going to be at super high levels until she does this trip because she is terrified of water.
So let me go on a lake vacation in a seaworthy vessel.
Tippy boat,
Whenever you see someone falling out of a boat, it's a canoe.
Yeah, usually it's a canoe.
And so that's what she picked.
Yeah.
Because were there kayaks on that, or was it all canoes?
It was all canoes because
I thought so. Yeah,
we had to haul all. We didn't have an actual outfitter. I was the guide, and we had to haul everything with us. We had to haul,
for the whole week.
The whole week, our food, all of our.
It's an episode of Survivor that you took on yourself, and you're not winning a $25,000 prize for at the end.
Right.
You just get bragging rights.
You get bragging rights, but it was so much
fun. I think those
fun.
are awesome bragging rights, though.
Yep, she did great. I'm pretty sure she did say at the end of the trip that was a one and done. She'll never do it again. But I think she
I
did
said
have
that
fun.
when you and I came home from the Grand Canyon. Okay.
From whitewater rafting.
Whitewater rafting. Lisa and I did the whole 225 miles of the Grand Canyon 3 years ago.
Yeah. That was a girl camper trip.
Stick a fork in me. There was a 4-day version of that trip that would have been good for me.
But you still had fun.
No, but I have no regrets on that trip because you learn what you're made of. The last 2 days of the Grand Canyon or the Mojave Desert, the high was 115, but at night it cooled down to a cool 98.
Yeah, you never felt hot. I think we were all concerned about that. Well, I mean, you know.
No, you
weren't
it's not like
roasting.
you were sweating profusely. But you had to go down to the river with your pashmina and dip it in the 58-degree water of mud and, bring the soppy thing back in your collapsible bucket, wring it out, lay it on you, and try to fall asleep before the thing evaporated and it was dry.
Yes. Yeah.
The last night I was there, a bat kept swarming by me. But when I got off that river, I was just like, I felt like a real boss. I got to tell you, I'm just like, that challenged me on every level. But when I think back on that trip, I do not think about the last 2 days. The first 5 days were spectacular. When you lie on that river at night and there's no Wi-Fi. There's nothing at all. I mean, the canyon is a mile high. There's no signals anywhere, right? And that was a test for me. Never mind the physical challenge of that trip. I'm always like, who said what? I'm always checking. The addiction to social media, not so much social media, but just
unplugging.
Just instant information. I saw people with books. Paper books they were reading. Yeah, like people read books. I brought a book and I read a book while I was on. It's probably the first book I read in 5 years. But anyway, at night, laying there, when you see those ads and it says the 5-star hotel or billion star, I think it's more than a billion. It is so spectacular. And I thought to myself, shooting stars, you're just counting them like 5 a minute, And then I thought to myself, how many people have been here where we are right now?
Right.
If you took everyone in the United States and just the number, what's the percentage? 0.00005. You gotta go through some discomfort to really enjoy that. I mean, I'm so glad I did it.
Yeah.
And last year I did the Salmon River
in Idaho. That was beautiful.
Way better, everybody.
Cleaner.
Do the salmon.
It's cleaner.
Crystal clear. The scenery, like the Grand Canyon is spectacular.
It is.
But it's 8 days of rock walls. We didn't see a single piece of wildlife. There's no wildlife there.
It's just different.
I thought we saw a goat at the end.
Yeah. It was still great.
Even birds,
Yeah.
But on the Salmon River, every time a bald eagle flew by, I acted like a UFO landed because I live in New Jersey. We just don't see bald eagles during the day. Everybody else were like, it's a bald eagle, Janine. It's a golden bald eagle. People who can identify bald eagles. So the nature, the beauty, even though we got caught in a small forest fire, well, that's a story for another day. We'll have to tell that. And then this year, you and I are doing the Green River in Utah.
We're doing the Green River in Utah, which is going to be, I think, even more pretty from what I understand.
Yeah.
And that's
so you know what I love about the river trips, and that they're not your usual camp like a girl trips. I mean, very often we're at a nice campground with a pool, which we all enjoy, and hot showers on demand. But every once in a while, we'd like to chat. Once a year, I make myself do something hard. She makes me do hard things, and she's such a boss, and I don't want to look like a slacker next to her. So I do things way out of my comfort zone. But we'll do the Green River in Utah this year, which is clear and clean too.
Clear and clean.
Class 5 rapids.
I think they're not as. I don't think we're going to have class 5. It's a lot
not
of it's going to
like the Grand Canyon where they had to pull over and the people operating the boat, the guides, had to climb up a giant rock wall, down on the river, and decide how to approach it. Nothing instills a little confidence in you like the team, the raft bent in half. Yeah, but they're fast.
They're very
like
fast.
When you hit a class 5 rapid, it's less than a minute. I mean, it's 30 seconds. The water is rushing so fast. So even if you fell out, which nobody did, we had nothing happen.
Right.
You would wash up on shore pretty quickly.
Right.
And you've got all kinds of equipment on you. But anyway, when we do these grand adventures, they really kind of test your limits and make you know. But for the majority of girl campers, and I don't want to talk too much about these grand adventures because that's just a small percentage.
Right.
Like of the 400 trips, there is plenty of KOAs out there.
Tons. Well, and a lot of our gals, especially in the off season, like in the winter, we call them Seeds of Friendship lunches.
Yeah.
So they just get together and they have lunch, and that's a great way for a girl camper, if you're new to it, to just come and test the waters.
Pick people's brains too.
Yeah.
Pick people's brains.
Am I going to like these women?
Sometimes people join and then they write to me and they say, what kind of camper should I buy? And I said, nothing right now.
Yeah.
What you need to do is attend 3 events in a rented cabin.
Yeah.
Walk around that campground talking to everybody. What do you love about that? What do you not like about that? And then when you think you found the one you want, you got to rent it on Outdoorsy or RV Share or someplace. Yeah. Find somebody who can rent it to you and test it out and see if that works for you. So, so we have women, and when we say there's no wrong way to camp like a girl, whether you are, coming in it for the first time. Like, we have a lot of women who come in who used to be Girl Scout leaders. That always, And their kids aged out, and they just miss it. And then they're like, next thing you know, they got a camper, and they're signed up for 5 trips. You know, like, you can still do, you don't need an excuse of having a kid to go girl camping. I do remember this one woman, and it's so much more like what you said. It's about community. And it's about finding your people. And I remember I was at an RV dealership in Ohio, and I got there in the morning, and it was a camper college, and the dealer came over to me and said, oh my God, this woman's been here. She was here when the door, I wasn't supposed to be there till 11, but their doors opened at 9, and she was there, and he said, oh my God, this woman's been waiting for you for 2 hours. She drove 3 hours to get here to talk to you. And I'm like, oh my God, well, where is she? Let me go over. And I went over and I met her, and she burst into tears. And she said, I'm so sorry, my husband died 6 weeks ago, really suddenly. And so she was in a very raw place, and they were in the process of buying a Class A motorhome. They had all kinds of plans. You think you know where you're going, and then you're not going there. And that is, I can relate to that. I've had that happen to me, and you think you have a plan, and then you don't.
And then you shift,
And so she said, I love to fish. We were going to do all these things. And I said to her, you can still do them, and we'll help you. And I said, the first thing I would do is take the pressure of like this giant RV off you and just get something small and simple. Like, don't have that worry, and I pointed out a couple, I had my Mini Max at the time, and I pointed out a couple of small teardrops for her, and that dealership in Ohio was so great with her. And anyway, she picked something out, and I called her a few times, and she was waiting for her trailer to come in. Fast forward 3 years, I lost touch with her. I'm in a campground in Allegheny, Pennsylvania, which is a gorgeous place to camp, everybody. Darkest skies on the East Coast, Allegheny, Pennsylvania, the mountains there. At a campground, walking from the shower house back to my camper, and I hear this woman screaming, Janine, Janine, and I look up, and it's her. She was camping with a bunch of girlfriends, and she had a little clamshell with like 100 stickers on the back of all the places she had been camping over the last 3 years. And she said to me, your group changed my life.
Wow.
She said, I'm so busy. My kids are like, Mom, you need to stay home this weekend. Like her kids were grown, but they wanted grandma. And she's like, sorry, I'm going with my girls to here and there. And I just thought to myself, she had to tone down the dream. But it's not any less.
Right.
And we were at Yellowstone, standing there looking at the biggest waterfall in Yellowstone, right? And I was looking around at the people, and I'm like, doesn't matter if they're tent campers or Class A motorhomes or they got a big giant Montana. This waterfall is the same for everybody.
Right.
So whether you're in that little teardrop, you're sitting out there at night with your girlfriends looking at the stars, the experience is the same.
Yep.
So she was able to tone down like her dream of how she thought this camping world and life was going to be, and she was enjoying every second of it.
That's cool.
So I would think for us, we feel like our job at Girl Camper is to let women know, first of all, There is no wrong way to camp like a girl.
No.
I don't care if you ever buy an RV. If you camp out of the back of your truck, if every time you go someplace you rent a cabin, so what? You were out there with your friends.
Right.
You had fun.
You're
You sat by the
experiencing
fire.
it. Yeah.
You ate the s'mores.
Yeah.
You know, like you had a ton of fun.
Exactly.
So if I had to tell women one thing about it is there's no wrong way to do it.
Right. Just come try it.
Just come try it.
Come try it.
So over at girlcamper.com, we have almost 30 guides in a lot of states, almost 400 events coming up. So how to get started with that is, I'm going to explain something to people because it gets confusing. There's no membership. Girl Camper's free. You don't have to pay anything to be in Girl Camper. But because we want to protect women's
Kind of safety, privacy.
it's a safety thing. So
Yeah.
when you go on Girl Camper and you want to look up events, you're only going to see the opening paragraph because we're not going to sit there saying, hey, this is where 50 solo women will be camping by themselves.
Right.
You know, we're not putting that out on the internet. So in order for us to know that you are who you say you are, you have to submit a little form and pay $10. And the $10 fee is so we can match your credit card to your driver's license and name and make sure you are who you say you are. Because we're protecting our girls. It's a one-time fee. You don't pay it every year. It's a one and done. And then you can look at all of our events. And I really hope that we can continue doing what we're doing. And we're so excited to have the podcast back.
Right. Oh, we are.
Sometimes you'll see me. Sometimes you'll see Lesa.
Yep. You might see
Sometimes you'll
somebody
see
else.
both of us.
Yeah.
You might see somebody else.
Yep.
And Lesa lives in South Dakota and I live in New Jersey. And we're at the Florida RV show. That's what.
We are.
Yeah.
Yep. We're down
So-
here at the Florida Super Show.
Yeah.
And it's
and
tons of fun.
and we're having a lot of fun down here with all of our friends. So we thought we'd jump on while we're together so you can meet both of us together. And for our longtime listeners, we're back. We heard you.
Yeah. Because partly coming up, I'm not going to be around for a while.
Oh, all right. Okay. So tell us why you're not going to be around, Lesa.
So there is a show called RV Unplugged, and it's on YouTube and RV TV, I believe. And our Nebraska guide, Mary Burns, and I are the first, only all-female team representing Girl Camper. We're going to be competing on this against 9 other teams, mostly husband and wives, and for $25,000. And we're going to be doing, we don't know what we're going to be doing, but it's kind of a show that's like the Amazing Race.
It's like a Survivor.
Yeah. We're going to be living off grid with no hookups whatsoever for, I believe, 2 to 3 weeks. In our
And what's interesting about that is
teardrops.
Lesa has a Mini Max by Little Guy.
Micro. I have a Micro Max by
I had the
Little
Mini.
Guy.
You have an even smaller one.
Even smaller.
But you can stand in the Micro Max.
You can.
That's the cool thing about it. It's garageable, but you can stand in it.
Yes.
And this girl likes to be a stealth camper, and you're a boondocker.
Yes, I'm boondocker, overland, all
And
of that.
Go Power put all these incredible solar system on it. So she may have a 20-gallon water tank, but she's got solar that could launch her, I think, if she wanted to.
Yeah.
But some of the other contestants have like giant, like fifth wheels and Class A's and like
huge
80-gallon tanks.
Yeah.
What's your tank there? Like 50?
Six gallons. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it might be 6 or 12. I think the gray water tank is only 6. So
Yeah.
I'm not even going to unwinterize. It's already winterized. I'll just figure it out.
So you're towing that from South Dakota next week down to Florida, and then the whole thing's going to get started, and we're going to be following along. So when it launches, we're going to be sworn to secrecy. So be rooting.
I'm not telling her, even. I mean, we plan on winning, Mary and I. But I'm not.
Yeah.
Even Janine will be in the dark on how we do.
And it's true. She shouldn't tell me because I would be like, Carol, don't tell anyone I told you this. Just you, Carol. And Carol would tell her husband, and her husband would tell my husband, and like it would go like around. So anyway, that is going to be really cool.
Yep.
And I love it that there's everybody's a couple except our girl camper, girl women power team.
Right. Except for one gentleman, he is he's a veteran, and he is competing with his service dog.
Yeah,
which is pretty cool.
It's a good roundup, and it's just a fun series to watch. It plays on YouTube, so we're going to be keeping you updated on that because we want people to know that girl campers we're
bosses.
more than s'mores.
More than
okay,
s'mores.
this isn't a bunch of women just sitting around the campfire toasting s'mores. Not that we don't love that. We do. So anyway, we're going to wrap up our first show here, and we're so happy to be back.
You know what we forgot to say?
What?
We forgot to mention early on that people needed to listen to the entire episode. So if you're still with us,
Oh, yes.
yay,
Oh, we're doing a giveaway.
we're doing a giveaway. So in the comments for this episode edition, please leave a comment what you thought about this.
Yes.
Maybe a topic you want us to cover, or just say hi. We
Just
don't
say
care.
hi.
But leave us a comment. And
Because we've got some really cool Tervis girl camper mugs.
Yes.
And we don't have it with us because she goes to Nepal with a backpack. She won't ever carry a suitcase. So she came and my suitcase was packed to the gills. So we have no extras down here. So we can't even show off our Tervis mug, but it's on girlcamper.com. And we're going to give some of them away. Those are really cool mugs.
leave us a comment, and one lucky winner is going to get the Girl Camper Tourist mug.
Yeah, and they're beautiful.
Yeah, they're super nice.
Yeah, I don't take mine out of my car. I'm so afraid of losing it.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm pretty picky about where I take. Well, you can't take it to a girl camper event. Everybody has one, and my name is written on the bottom of mine. Like everybody shows up, and it's like whose mug is whose. But anyway, it's been so great being back here.
It is nice.
I was very reluctant to bring the podcast back because I don't want to put one more thing on my plate. Because I do have 3 new grandbabies, everybody, since the show went off and came back on, and they are, the light of my life.
Yeah.
And but anyway, I have always been pretty good at keeping a lot of balls in the air. So anyway, we're back. We're going to come out every Tuesday, just like we did before, and we'd love to hear your feedback. And we're so happy you joined us today. And we're video now.
Yeah, we're video and audio.
So no more Janine in her pajamas and a hoodie.
Well, it could be.
Eating soup while I talk.
Maybe not that part. Yeah.
yeah. We cleaned up back here in our messy Airbnb. So now we have to be camera ready. But anyway, we're happy to be on video with you because it's sort of personal and kind of fun.
Yep.
Yeah. So anyway, we'll see you next Tuesday. Download us on iTunes, Spotify, wherever you listen to podcasts, and keep us posted.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone. Happy trails. Woo-hoo.